Good morning, boys and girls. We have another mystery reader. This student attends Crown Point High School,
is in 12th grade,
plays basketball,
is
6'7",
and has one sister in 2nd grade and another in 5th grade here at Jerry Ross. Who could it be? Who do you think it is?
It's Kempe Shaw.
Woohoo!
Hi, my name is Dikembe Shaw. I'm at 12th grade at Crown Point High School. I play basketball for the varsity basketball team, and I got two sisters that go here. Hey, Tora and Mina, how you all doing? At home with the Brisbanes. It's a foggy morning in the swamp. On most mornings, you can see everything clearly. The slithering snakes, the soaring birds, the insects darting and swooping. But in the fog, nothing is clear. All I can see are shadows, but I don't know what they are. I hope the fog clears soon because I'm getting hungry. I come out the fog with Miss Brisbane's, begin our lessons. I'm not sure I understand what she's talking about. Nouns, verbs, adjectives. What kind of animals are those? The thought of being chased by an adverb frightens me. There are a lot of other things I don't understand. Why does Tabitha seem so sad and lonely, and yet she acts rude when somebody else is friendly? And why on earth do students always giggle at Humphrey's annoying antics? I feel as useless as a toothless alligator. In the swamp, I can hop on it and get things done. I grab a cricket with my tongue, challenge jumping jack to hopping contests, or discover a new puddle to soak in. Here, I watch things happening, but I can't do anything to change them. Late in the afternoon, Tabitha comes over to my tank. I hope she won't be rude. I think Heidi is being mean about you. I bet it's because you're new to room 26. Tabitha sighs softly. I'm getting new here too. It's hard to get used to it. It's not like my old school. I know, I tell her. It's nothing like the swamp either. My loud booings make her smile. You probably don't even know what I'm saying, Tabitha tells me. I do a couple of hops and say yes. Yes, I do. My booing makes her giggle. You're funny, OG, she says. Do it again. All right, I hop again because Tabitha has a nice smile. You understand me, but why do you always say booing? She asks. If I try to explain, she wouldn't understand. I would like to understand why she's smiley in her pocket. I don't think anybody in room 26 understands Tabitha. At least not yet. I don't think they really understand me either. I have a new foster home and a new mom, Tabitha tells. She's nice, and Miss Brisbane is nice too, but I don't feel like I really belong here. Do you? I thought I did, I answer, but now I'm confused too. Tabitha grins. I love talking to you, she says. And when you answer back, it's almost like you understand what I'm saying. I am trying hard to understand a lot of things, but I wish she knew that I realize how tough it is when so much has changed. After Tabitha returns to her seat, Humphrey starts squeaking nonstop. Is he jealous because she talked to me? Or does he understand her problem too? I know he didn't come from the swap, but he might have another home before room 26. No matter how hard I listen, one squeak still sounds exactly like another. I'm almost relieved when he stops squeaking and hops on that screeching wheel. There's so much about room 26 that is foggy to this green fog, froggy. And then it's Friday, and Miss Brisbane says Humphrey is going to home with Miranda, and I tell Humphrey really likes her. He always scrambles in front of his cage when she's nearby. I can tell she likes him too. Whenever she looks at Humphrey, she smiles. She must enjoy squeaking more than I do. But when Miss Brisbane announces the news, Humphrey squeaking sounds worried. Luckily, before Miranda dad comes to pick up Humphrey in his cage, Miranda tells him, "Don't worry, Humphrey. My dog won't be there to bother you." My furry little neighbor perks up. "Squeal," he says. Now he's happy. I guess he doesn't care for dogs. For such a tiny creature, he sure is complicated. At least I have a nice quiet weekend to look forward to, with no squeaking, no screeching wheels. But I am now surprised when Miss Brisbane comes up to my tank after school and says, "Oh, gee, I worried about you all last weekend, so I'm taking you home with me this time." If she's worried about me, she must like me at least a little bit. That means she feels as cozy as a lizard snoozing in a sunbeam. I could almost jump for joy. It seems strange to be riding in a car, especially with a blanket covering my tank. It reminds me of the bad day when I was frog napped from the swamp. As I carried away in the sack, I could still hear the muffling booing, booing, booing of my friends calling me, "Come back." I hope they understand that I didn't have any choice. There's a surprise waiting for me at Miss Brisbane's house. His name is Bert Brisbane, and he is her husband. Unlike most of the humans I've met, Mr. Brisbane doesn't walk around on two legs. Instead, he gets around in a chair with wheels. The way he rolls in his chair in and out of the doorways and around corners is very impressive. I try to imagine myself in a chair on wheels, but it would be strange for a frog not to leap once in a while. An even bigger surprise is that from the moment Miss Brisbane carries my tank into the house, Mr. Brisbane is very interested in me. "A frog," Mr. Brisbane leans close to my tank. "Where on earth did you get a frog?" "I told you, Bert, Angie Loomis couldn't keep him in her room anymore. And so I said I'd take him." Miss Brisbane tells her husband. "I thought that was her temporary," he says. I'm glad it's not, since I never want to be near that bullying bullfrog again." "His name is OG," she tells him. Mr. Brisbane smiles and nods. "OG the frog? I like it. But what does my pal Humphrey think of him?" "His pal. My teacher's husband is a friend of the little guy next door." "I'm not so sure," his wife says. "I can't understand either of one of them." Mr. Brisbane turns toward my tank, looks me straight in my eye, and lets out a ribbit. I am surprised. I hide back on a few inches. Why do all humans think frogs say ribbit? He does it again in a very odd voice. "Ribbit?" "Bert, he doesn't understand you," Mrs. Brisbane tells him. "Why not?" her husband asks. "He's a frog, isn't he? And frogs say ribbit." "Not this frog, Miss Brisbane." She's right. I never heard one of the fellow green frogs make such a silly sound. Not even a bullfrog. Mr. Brisbane leans in closer. "Maybe he doesn't say anything at all," he suggests. I can't stand it any longer, so I tell him I have a lot to say. Mr. Brisbane jerks back a few inches when he hears my booing. He looks as surprised as a flycatcher bird who accidentally caught a bee. "What on earth was that?" he asks. "It sounds like a broken guitar string." "That's the sound this type of green frog makes?" she profoundly. "The scientific name is a Ranaclimix." I looked it up. Mr. Brisbane stares at me. "Ranaclimix," he repeats. "But you can call me OG," I tell him. He bursts out laughing. And then, do you know what? He lets out a very loud booing. He even makes it sound twangy the way I do. "I think you two might squeak the same language," Miss Briss says with a laugh. I only wish we did. As the evening goes on, Mr. Brisbane continues to watch me closely. Thank goodness, Mrs. Brisbane insists that he come to the kitchen and eat dinner. Finally, I can relax. But as soon as they finish, Mr. Brisbane rolls back into my tank and watches me. What does he think This is television. I'm hoping that the Brisbanes will watch television, especially a nature program set outdoors. I wouldn't even mind seeing a show about hamsters if it would help me figure out Humphrey. Mr. Brisbane's pal Humphrey. All attention makes me a little nervous, so I slide into the water dish and soak. I think it's boring to watch someone soak, but Mr. Brisbane seems to be fascinated. He's full of questions for Mrs. Brisbane, who pulls up a chair next to him. Don't some frogs live in the water all the time? He asks. There's all kinds of frogs, even frogs that live in trees, she answers. That's news to me. If he had a bigger tank, he could swim around, Mr. Brisbane suggests. I pop my head out the water. That's a great idea, I tell him. Mr. and Mrs. Brisbane both laugh at at my loud booing. I'm still jumpy and jittery from that staring, so I launch into my weekend workout to unwind. Hearty splashing followed by the set of jumping jacks. I'm so surprised to see Brisbanes are impressed with my performance. Will you look at will you look at that? Mrs. Brisbane says. That is one lively frog, Mr. Brisbane replies. After that comes my froggy version of a push-up. Mr. Brisbane gasps. I don't know if frogs could do that. I finish off with a series of big leaps. I can heartily believe my eyes, Mrs. Brisbane says. When I stop, he's never behaved like this in class. I guess he wanted to put on a show for us, her husband replies. I can heartily believe how exhausted I am. If I were warm blooded like humans, I would have broken out in a sweat. Amphibians like me don't sweat. While I'm resting, the Brisbanes talk about frogs. Mrs. Brisbane brings in several books which they read together. Look, Mr. Brisbane points at the page. Some frogs can jump over 20 times their own body length. I certainly think OG can, Mr. Brisbane says. I'm glad she thinks so. Me? I'm not so sure. That reminds me of an old joke, her husband says. What do you get when you cross a frog and a bunny? I'm thinking the answer has something to do with hopping, so I'm so surprised when he tells her a ribbit. I guess he already forgot that green frogs like me don't say ribbit. Still, it's as good as any Kurt jokes. Then he has another riddle. What does the bus driver say to the toad? Mrs. Brisbane shakes her head and Bert replies, hop on. If Mr. Brisbane had ever spent time with toads, he'd know I'm nothing like them. But I don't mind. He reminds me of one of the favorite swamp creatures, Uncle Chingling. He's a kindly old green frog who tells good stories but also is a good listener. I learned from I learned a lot from Uncle Chingling, like how to make my booing carry a whole mile and how to catch tiny mosquitoes with my big tongue. He likes to tell jokes too. I especially like this one. What do they call an alien in the swamp? A Martian? I'll bet Mr. Brisbane will like that joke. But if I tried to tell him, he'd laugh at the bullying. This frog is a treasure, Mr. Brisbane tells his wife. You should enter him into one of the frog jumping contests. They really have such things. I like the way he thinks of me, of course. I've never been in so many frog jumping contests in the swamp. Sometimes I even won. Mrs. Brisbane sighs. I like OG, but I do have a problem with him. Those words would have given me a chill, but amphibians don't get chills. It's that cold blooded thing again. But why on earth would she have a problem with me? Our classroom isn't anything like the swamp. She continues. Is he happy in his tank? I mean, Humphrey has always lived in a cage that's different. That's the truth. That hamster is as different as many creatures I've known, including crickets and mosquitoes. I didn't understand Humphrey at first, she says, but he seems so happy. He helped the students, and when I brought him home, he cheered you up. Mr. Brickbang nods. I was pretty hard to live with him after the accident that landed me here. He pats his wheelchair. But Humphrey did help. Humphrey, are you talking about the Humphrey I know? The annoying neighbor in the cage next door? He helps everyone, Mrs. Brisbane agrees. He really goes beyond his job as a classroom pet. Wait a second. Being a classroom pet is a job? I never thought of that before. And if it's a real job, will I be first classroom pet to be fired? Miss Brisbane raises. I'll make some tea. Mr. Brisbane follows. I'll get the cookies. And that is the end of chapter 5. I would like to thank everybody and see you, Tora. See you, Mina.